Captain Alex Morgan stood alone on the bridge of the USS Defiant. The ship was quiet. Most of the crew was at their stations below deck. Alex looked out at the stars through the large front window. His reflection stared back at him. A man in his late 30s with short brown hair and tired eyes. 6 months ago, he had been teaching combat training at the Space Academy. Now he was in charge of humanity's most advanced ship on a routine patrol mission at the edge of our solar system. The mission was supposed to be simple. Fly out, test the new engines, and come back. But that changed 20 minutes ago when the SO ended. Sensors picked up something moving toward Earth. "Captain," called a voice from behind him. "The objects are getting closer. We can see them clearly now." Alex turned to see Lieutenant Samantha Wright at her station. Sam was the best communications officer in the fleet. Her fingers moved quickly over her screen as she pulled up images from the front cameras. "Put it on the main screen," Alex said. The large screen at the front of the bridge lit up. What they saw made everyone stop and stare. 27 ships of different sizes moved together in perfect order. They were shaped like smooth teardrops, their surfaces shining with a blue-green light that pulsed slowly. "Are they responding to our signals?" Alex asked. Sam shook her head. "Nothing yet, sir. I've tried all standard greeting formats." Officer Ben Harris spoke up from the science station. "Sir, I'm picking up energy readings unlike anything we've seen before. Their smallest ship has enough power to run all of North America for a year." Alex felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was flying straight toward them. "Keep trying all channels," Alex ordered, "and alert Earth Command. Send them everything we've got on these ships." "Sir," Sam said suddenly, her eyes wide. "They're hailing us." The bridge went silent. "Put it through," Alex said, straightening his uniform jacket. The screen flickered and changed. The image of the alien fleet disappeared, replaced by something none of them had ever seen before. The creature on screen had a roughly humanoid shape: 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. But that's where the similarities ended. Its skin was covered in scales that shifted colors like oil on water. It had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on its face, and no visible mouth until it opened what seemed to be a vertical slit to speak. "I am Fleet Commander Zixtal of the Galactic Concordat," the alien said, its words somehow translated into perfect English. "Your species is unknown to us. Identify yourself." Alex took a deep breath. History would remember this moment. The first official contact between humanity and an alien civilization. "I am Captain Alex Morgan of Earth," he replied, keeping his voice steady, "Commander of the USS Defiant. We come in peace and welcome you to our solar system." The alien's upper eyes narrowed slightly. "Peace? Then explain why your vessel carries weaponry that could destabilize a small moon." Alex blinked in surprise. The Defiant's experimental quantum cannon was a secret. Only a handful of people on Earth even knew about it. The fact that this alien could detect it from a distance was troubling. "A precaution only," Alex said carefully. "The universe is vast and unknown. We mean no harm to peaceful visitors." "Perhaps," Zixtal said, "but the Concordat requires ... assurances. Your species is unknown to us, and unknown elements must be evaluated before being allowed free travel in Concordat space." "We are in Earth space," Alex pointed out. "We weren't aware that we needed permission to travel in our own solar system." The alien made a clicking sound that the translator didn't. "Convert, your understanding of territorial boundaries is primitive. All space within the galactic arm falls under Concordat protection and regulation. You will accompany our fleet to Central Command for proper evaluation of your species' threat level." Before Alex could respond, Officer Harris called out, Captain, 5 of their smaller ships are moving to surround us. Alex looked back at the alien commander. This feels less like an invitation and more like an arrest. A precaution only, Sextal said, using Alex's own words. You may keep your weapons powered down and follow us without incident, or we will be forced to disable your vessel and bring it in under tow. The choice is yours, Captain Alex Morgan of Earth. Alex glanced around at his crew. They were the best Earth had to offer, but they were just one ship against an entire alien fleet with technology far beyond their own. How long will this evaluation take? He asked. That depends on your cooperation, the alien replied. But most species are processed and assigned a threat category within one standard cycle. And if we refuse? The alien scales shifted to a deeper blue. That would be unwise. The Concordat has protocols for dealing with potentially hostile species. They are effective but gentle. Sam muted the transmission and turned to Alex. Sir, Earth Command is responding. They're ordering. Used to comply, but gather as much intelligence as possible. Alex nodded grimly and signaled Sam to reopen the channel. We accept your invitation, Commander Zixtal. The Defiant will follow your ships. A wise decision, the alien said. Prepare your vessel for transit to Central Command. We will depart. Once your ship is in formation. The screen went dark, returning to the view of the alien fleet. The 5 smaller ships were now positioned around the Defiant, their weapons clearly visible along their hulls. Send a complete data package to Earth, Alex said quietly. Everything we know about their ships, their weapons, and this galactic concordat. If this goes badly, Earth needs to be prepared. Do you think they mean us harm, sir? Asked Ben, his voice low. Alex watched as the alien ships pulsed with energy, preparing for what he assumed was faster-than-light travel. I don't know, he admitted, but I know this. They didn't ask to meet us. They ordered us to follow them. They scanned our weapons without permission, and they've surrounded our ship. If a human did those things, I wouldn't call them friendly. As the Defiant was escorted away from Earth by the alien fleet, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't a first contact scenario anymore. It was a first capture. And somewhere, out in the darkness of space, at a place called Central Command, humanity was about to be judged by standards they didn't even know existed. General Elizabeth Cole had seen a lot in her 30 years of military service. She had led troops through war zones, faced down enemy generals across negotiation tables, and guided Earth's defense forces through natural disasters. But nothing in her experience had prepared her for this moment. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Morgan's unexpected encounter with the alien fleet. 3 weeks of frantic preparations, emergency meetings, and sleepless nights. Now Elizabeth sat at a long table in the United Nations building in New York, facing 6 alien representatives from the Galactic Concordat. The lead alien, who had introduced himself as Ambassador Corvex, sat directly across from her. Like the Commander Captain Morgan had described, Corvex had iridescent scales and 4 eyes. But where the commander's scales had been blue-green, the ambassador shimmered with gold and red patterns. The human military capability is concerning, Corvex said, his translated voice coming through speakers around the room. Your technological development has followed an unusual pattern. Most species develop faster than light communication, before weaponry capable of causing stellar disturbances. Elizabeth leaned forward, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. We developed what was necessary for our survival. Earth hasn't always been united. Yes, we've studied your history, Corvex replied. His upper eyes blinked slowly while his lower ones remained fixed on Elizabeth. It's precisely that history of internal conflict that concerns us. The Concordat maintains galactic peace through strict weapons limitations. President William Carter spoke up from the head of the table. He was a tall man with dark skin and a calm voice that had won him elections twice. Are you asking us to disarm? We're informing you that integration into the galactic community requires compliance with established protocols. Corvex corrected. Otherwise, containment measures will be implemented. Elizabeth caught the president's eye. Containment. Didn't sound voluntary. We'll need time to consider these terms, the president said carefully. Of course, the ambassador replied. You have 1 Earth week. In the meantime, we've established a security perimeter around your solar system for everyone's protection. As the aliens departed, escorted by nervous security guards, Elizabeth pulled the president aside. They moved to a small room off the main hall where they could speak privately. Sir, they've effectively quarantined us, Elizabeth said once the door was closed. I know, he replied grimly. And I've received word from our deep space monitoring stations. They're detecting large fleet movements toward our sector. Elizabeth's expression hardened. They're not here to welcome us to the neighborhood, are they? No, General Cole, the president said. I believe they're here to make sure we stay in our corner of the galaxy, permanently. The president walked to the window, looking out at the New York skyline. What news of Captain Morgan and the Defiant? They've been allowed to send short messages, Elizabeth replied. They're being held at what the aliens call Central Command, some kind of massive space station. The crew is unharmed, but not allowed to leave their ship. And what have they learned? Elizabeth pulled out a tablet and brought up a report. The Concordat isn't just one alien species. It's a coalition of about 30 different civilizations, all governed by the same strict rules. They've been the dominant power in this part of the galaxy for over 1,000 years. And they've never encountered humans before? No, apparently. We're in what they consider a development zone, a region where young species are left alone until they achieve faster-than-light travel. We weren't supposed to be noticed for another century or so. And why the interest in us now? The president asked. Captain Morgan's report suggests it was our quantum weapons research that caught their attention. The energy signatures were detected by their long-range scouts. That type of technology is strictly controlled in Concordat space. The president turned away from the window. Do we have any allies out there? Any species that might take our side? Elizabeth shook her head. Not that we've identified. The crew reports that most species seem to fear the Concordat rather than respect it. It's less a united federation and more an empire held together by military force. Then we're alone, the president said quietly. Yes, sir. And outmatched. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. The president was silent for a long moment. Then he squared his shoulders. General, what would you do if you were facing an enemy with superior numbers, superior technology, and superior position? Elizabeth didn't hesitate. Change the nature of the conflict, sir. Find a way to fight on terms where their advantages don't matter. Exactly, the president said. Gather the Joint Chiefs. We have 6 days to come up with a response, and it won't be disarmament. 3 days later, Elizabeth stood in a secret underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around her, a team of scientists worked at computer stations, while medical personnel prepared equipment in sealed rooms visible through glass walls. Dr. Paul Martinez, the lead scientist, guided Elizabeth through the facility. He was a short man, with intense eyes and hands that never stopped moving when he talked. We've been running this program in secret for 5 years, Paul explained. Originally designed as a medical initiative to help severely wounded soldiers. But when the Concordat arrived, we changed direction. They stopped at a window looking into a large room where a man and a woman were lifting weights. What caught Elizabeth's attention was the amount of weight. Each bar held what must have been over 1,000 pounds. Who are they? Elizabeth asked. Volunteers. Special Forces operators who agreed to the procedure. Scott Davis and Olivia Carson, the first successful test subjects. And what exactly did you do to them? Paul adjusted his glasses. We used a combination of genetic modification, neural enhancement, and molecular restructuring. They're still human, but optimized. Stronger, faster, more resilient. And most importantly, their neural patterns can interface with the quantum field. In English, please, Doctor. Paul smiled slightly. They can interact with technology in ways that shouldn't be possible, especially Concordat technology, which relies heavily on quantum principles. We discovered this capability when studying the materials Captain Morgan sent back. Elizabeth watched as the two soldiers completed their exercises without breaking a sweat. How many can you produce? With current resources, maybe 20 within the next month. After that, perhaps 100 more if we rush. 120 super soldiers against an alien armada? Elizabeth asked skeptically. Quality over quantity, General, Paul replied. One virus cell can bring down an elephant if it's the right virus. Elizabeth nodded slowly. How soon can the first team be ready for deployment? 4 days. Make it 3, Elizabeth said. I don't think the Concordat plans to wait the full week they promised us. As if to confirm her words, an alarm sounded throughout the facility. An officer rushed up to Elizabeth with a tablet. General, the Concordat fleet is moving. Multiple ships have broken through our outer system monitoring network. Elizabeth looked back at the enhanced soldiers behind the glass. They had stopped their exercises and were watching her, somehow aware that something had changed. Tell the President it's time for Plan B, Elizabeth said. The Concordat just changed the timeline. The alien ambassador had asked if Earth was willing to disarm. Soon they would learn that humanity had decided to arm itself in ways they never imagined possible. Commander Ryan Fletcher gripped the edge of his console as the orbital defense platform shook violently. Warning lights flashed across the command center. The smell of burnt circuits filled the air. This was the third attack in the last hour. Tactical, report! Ryan shouted over the noise of the emergency systems. Lieutenant Kevin Hayes responded, his fingers moving quickly across his screen. Shields at 37%, sir. The Concordat ships are focusing fire on Sectors 7 through 12. They're trying to create a gap in our defensive grid. Ryan wiped sweat from his forehead. 3 months of tense waiting had ended 2 days ago when the Concordat fleet launched their attack. Earth had refused to dismantle its quantum weapons program, and the aliens had responded with force. Where's the Defiant? Ryan asked. Captain Morgan and his crew had managed to escape from Central Command during the confusion of the first attacks. Still engaged with the Concordat dreadnought in the outer defense zone, Kevin replied. Captain Morgan reports their shields are holding, but they're outnumbered 4-1. The platform rocked again as another energy blast hit them. More warning lights appeared on the main screen. Sir, they've broken through. A young officer shouted from across the room. Multiple dropships heading for the surface. They're targeting military bases in North America, Asia, and Europe. Ryan's communication panel lit up with an incoming message. He pressed the button, and General Cole's face appeared on the small screen. She looked tired but determined. Commander Fletcher, we're activating Protocol Omega, she said. Fall back to the inner defense line. We need to buy time. Time for what, General? Ryan asked. He didn't like the idea of giving up the orbital platforms. Once the aliens controlled Earth's orbit, the ground war would be much harder. Elizabeth's expression was serious. Our contingency plan. We've been developing something since the quarantine began. Something they won't expect. What kind of weapon could possibly... Not a weapon, Commander, Elizabeth interrupted. A soldier. The first of their kind. Report to Cheyenne Mountain immediately. You've just been reassigned. The screen went dark before Ryan could ask more questions. He turned to his second-in-command, a steady officer named Laura Wilson. Lieutenant Wilson, you have command. Begin evacuation procedures and fall back to the inner defense line. Make the Concordat work for every inch, Laura nodded. Yes, sir. What about you? Ryan grabbed his tablet and emergency pack. I've been reassigned to Cheyenne Mountain. Apparently, there's a secret weapon there. Good luck, sir, Laura said. We'll hold them as long as we can. Ryan made his way to the escape pods. As his pod launched away from the failing defense platform, he watched Concordat ships swarming through Earth's orbital defenses. Their ships looked like predatory fish. Smooth and deadly, their weapons cutting through Earth's best technology like it was paper. Whatever this contingency plan was, he hoped it worked better than everything else they'd thrown at the aliens so far. The trip to Cheyenne Mountain took Ryan 3 dangerous hours. His pod landed in Kansas, and from there, he took a military transport. That had to fly low and use mountain ranges for cover to avoid alien patrols. When he finally arrived at the mountain complex, he was surprised by the level of activity. While the rest of Earth's military was in retreat, this facility was buzzing with purpose. Soldiers moved with confidence. Scientists worked at advanced equipment, and there was none of the fear he'd seen elsewhere. A young woman in a lab coat met him at the entrance. Commander Fletcher? I'm Dr. Lisa Chun. General Cole asked me to brief you. Lisa led Ryan through security checkpoints deeper than he'd ever gone before in the facility. They entered an elevator that required both eye and DNA scans. After first contact, we started several secret programs, Lisa explained as the elevator descended. The president gave us unlimited funding and resources. For what exactly? Ryan asked. The elevator had been going down for nearly a minute. Project Prometheus, Lisa replied. A human enhancement program designed to create soldiers who can fight against the Concordat's technology. The elevator doors opened to reveal an enormous underground complex. Scientists in lab coats worked at computer stations while military personnel monitored large screens showing battles from around the world. This way, Lisa said, leading him toward a room with reinforced glass walls. I should warn you, the results are unusual. Through the glass, Ryan saw a man in a simple gray outfit standing in the center of what looked like a training room. Around him lay the smoking remains of what Ryan recognized as combat robots. This is Eric Bradley, Lisa said. Former Navy SEAL. The first successful subject. Successful at what? Ryan asked. Before Lisa could answer, the man in the room turned toward the window. Even from this distance, Ryan could see something strange about his eyes. They glowed with a faint blue light. Neural integration with quantum computers, Lisa explained. Enhanced muscles. Stronger bones. Tiny machines in his blood that can create tools or weapons from available materials. And most importantly, the ability to disrupt Concordat technology. He's part machine? Ryan asked. No, Lisa corrected. He's still human, just improved. The integration is biological, not mechanical. We learned a lot from studying the Concordat technology. A tall man in a general's uniform joined them. Commander Fletcher? I'm General Howard Grant. I see you've met Eric. Just watching, sir, Ryan replied. Good, because you'll be working with him. We're sending Eric to the European front. The Concordat has set up a command center in Berlin, and our regular forces can't get near it. With respect, sir, you're sending one man against an alien command center? General Grant's expression didn't change. Not just one man, Commander. Eric is the first. We have 12 more, almost ready. Your job is to coordinate their deployment and provide tactical support. 12 soldiers against an alien invasion force? Ryan couldn't hide his disbelief. 13, Lisa corrected. And they're not just soldiers, the general nodded. The Concordat has better numbers and technology, Commander. But they've never faced anything like our Prometheus operatives. We're betting they don't know how to fight them. As Ryan watched Eric Bradley pick up and examine a complex alien weapon with impossible speed, he began to understand. This wasn't a normal war anymore. Humanity had changed the rules. When do we start? Ryan asked. Immediately, General Grant replied. The Concordat thinks they're winning. We're about to show them how wrong they are. As if to emphasize his words, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. A soldier rushed up to them. Sir, Concordat forces have breached the perimeter in Colorado Springs. They'll reach the mountain within an hour. General Grant turned to Eric, who was now standing at the door of the training room. It seems your first mission has come to us, Mr. Bradley. Eric nodded, his glowing blue eyes intensifying. I'm ready, sir. Ryan looked between the general and the enhanced soldier. The fate of humanity now rested on 13 specially modified humans against an alien armada. The odds seemed impossible, but as he watched Eric prepare for battle with calm confidence, Ryan felt something he hadn't felt since the invasion began: hope. Eric Bradley moved through the forest without making a sound. The night was dark, but his enhanced vision allowed him to see clearly. Behind him, Commander Ryan Fletcher struggled to keep up, stumbling occasionally over roots and rocks. Slow down, Ryan whispered. Not all of us have supervision. Eric paused, waiting for Ryan to catch up. Sorry, I forget sometimes. It had been 2 weeks since their first meeting at Cheyenne Mountain. 2 weeks since Eric had single-handedly repelled the Concordat attack force that had threatened the facility. Ryan still remembered the shocked expressions on the alien soldiers' faces when their weapons failed to work in Eric's presence. How much farther to the command center? Ryan asked, checking the small tablet that showed their position. About 3 miles, Eric replied. But there's a problem. They've set up sensor arrays in a ring around the facility. Normal humans can't get past without being detected. Good thing you're not normal then, Ryan said with a slight smile. Eric nodded. I'll go ahead and disable the sensors. Wait here until I signal you. Before Ryan could respond, Eric was gone, moving through the trees like a shadow. Ryan sat down on a fallen log and checked the tablet again. The small dot representing Eric moved swiftly toward the first sensor station. This mission was crucial. The Concordat had established a major command center in what used to be downtown Denver. From there, they coordinated their forces across the western United States. If Eric could infiltrate the center and disrupt their communications, it would give Earth's resistance fighters in the region a chance to regroup. Ryan's earpiece crackled. First sensor down, Eric's voice reported, moving to the second. Copy that, Ryan replied quietly. Any sign they've detected you? Negative. Their technology doesn't register me the same way it does regular humans. To their sensors, I look like background radiation. Ryan smiled. That was one of the unexpected benefits of the Prometheus enhancements. The quantum integration made the subjects partially exist in multiple states at once, confusing alien detection systems. All sensors down, Eric reported after 20 minutes. You can proceed to the rendezvous point. I'll meet you there after I scout the main entrance. Ryan stood and began moving carefully through the forest. He was a capable soldier with years of experience, but next to Eric, he felt slow and clumsy. The enhanced humans were revolutionizing Earth's resistance efforts. In the 2 weeks since they had been deployed, Prometheus operatives had disrupted Concordat operations in 12 major cities. When Ryan reached the rendezvous point, a small hill overlooking the command center, Eric was already waiting. What did you find? Ryan asked. 3 main entrances, all heavily guarded, Eric said. But there's a maintenance shaft on the east side with minimal security. I can get in that way. Ryan looked through his binoculars at the massive structure below. The Concordat had converted a sports stadium into their command center, adding their own technology to the human building. The result was an odd mixture of familiar concrete and alien metal that glowed with faint blue light. "Remember the mission," Ryan said. "Get in, plant the disruptors on their main communication array, and get out. Don't try to engage their forces directly." Eric checked the small devices in his pack. Each one was designed to attach to Concordat technology and create a persistent quantum disruption field. What if I can do more than just disrupt communications? Their central database might have valuable information. Ryan shook his head. "Stick to the plan. We can't risk losing you." "There are 12 more like me now," Eric reminded him, "with more coming every day." 13 is still not enough, Ryan replied firmly. "Not against their numbers." Eric nodded, but Ryan could tell he wasn't entirely convinced. The enhanced soldiers all had a streak of independence that made them difficult to command sometimes. It was part of what made them effective, but also a challenge for their handlers. "I'll be in and out in 30 minutes, Eric said. "If I'm not back in an hour, leave without me." Before Ryan could argue, Eric was moving down the hill toward the command center. Ryan watched through his binoculars as the enhanced soldier approached the perimeter fence. Instead of cutting through it, Eric simply placed his hands on the metal and closed his eyes. After a moment, the fence's energy field flickered and died. Eric slipped through and headed for the maintenance shaft. Ryan settled in to wait, checking his watch. The longest 30 minutes of his life had begun. Inside the command center, Eric moved like a ghost through the service corridors. His enhanced senses allowed him to detect approaching Concordat soldiers before they appeared, giving him time to hide or change direction. The interior of the building was a maze of alien technology. Glowing panels covered the walls, and strange devices hummed with energy. Eric could feel the quantum fields they generated, and more importantly, he could manipulate them. He reached a junction and consulted the mental map he had memorized from satellite images. The communication array should be 2 levels up in what used to be the stadium's press box. A door slid open nearby, and Eric pressed himself into a shadowy corner. 2 Concordat soldiers walked past, talking in their clicking language. Eric had learned enough of it to understand basic phrases. "The Supreme General is not pleased with our progress," one soldier said. "He expected the humans to surrender by now." "They are more resilient than anticipated," the other replied. "But they cannot hold out forever. Their major cities are already under our control." "Yes, but these reports of communication failures and system malfunctions are concerning. Some say the humans have developed a new weapon." The soldiers moved out of earshot, and Eric continued toward his target. He found a maintenance ladder and climbed up 2 levels, emerging in a corridor that led to the press box. 2 guards stood outside the entrance to the communication array. Eric couldn't avoid them. Taking a deep breath, he stepped into the open. The guards spotted him immediately, raising their weapons. But before they could fire, Eric activated his quantum field. The aliens' weapons sputtered and died in their hands. Their communication devices also failed. The guards looked at their useless weapons in confusion, and at the human approaching them. Eric moved quickly, disabling both guards with precise strikes. They collapsed to the floor, unconscious but alive. Inside the communication room, Eric found what he was looking for. A massive array of alien technology, pulsed with energy. He quickly attached the disruptor devices to key points in the system. As he worked, something caught his attention. A large display showed a map of Earth with Concordat fleet positions marked in glowing symbols. But there was something else, a second wave of ships approaching from deep space. Reinforcements. Eric hesitated. His mission was to plant the disruptors and leave, but this information was too important to ignore. He placed his hand on the data terminal and closed his eyes, using his quantum integration to copy the information directly into his enhanced neural network. Alarms suddenly blared throughout the facility. Eric had stayed too long. The system had detected his intrusion. "Eric, what's happening?" Ryan's voice came through his earpiece. The whole place just lit up. "Mission accomplished," Eric replied, heading for the exit. "But we have a complication. They've called for backup." As he ran through the corridors, Eric could hear the sound of Concordat soldiers mobilizing. His path to the maintenance shaft was likely cut off now. He needed another way out. Eric rounded a corner and found himself face to face with a Concordat officer. Unlike the regular soldiers, this one wore elaborate armor and had scales that shimmered with red and gold patterns. A commander. The alien's 4 eyes widened in surprise. "Human," it hissed. "How did you get in here?" Eric smiled. "Your security needs work." The commander reached for a weapon, but Eric was faster. He lunged forward, his hand touching the alien's armor. Instantly, the powered systems in the suit failed, leaving the commander vulnerable. "What are you?" the alien asked, backing away. "I am the backup," Eric replied, as his eyes glowed bright blue. Supreme General Vex Kral of the Concordat Expeditionary Force stared at the large display with growing anger. The glowing map showed Earth's continents with Concordat forces marked in blue and human resistance in red. There were too many red marks. Far too many. "How is this happening?" he demanded, turning to his advisors. His scales shifted to a dark purple color, showing his fury. "These humans were barely able to leave their planet 3 cycles ago." "We've analyzed the attack patterns, Supreme General," said his intelligence. "Officer, a Finn alien named Zevter. They appear to be using some kind of enhanced soldiers. Our sensors can barely detect them, and our weapons often fail in their presence." Vexcroll slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Unacceptable. We control the orbital approaches. We have superior technology. We have greater numbers. Find these enhanced humans and eliminate them." The command center suddenly shook as an explosion rocked the building. Warning lights flashed across the displays. "Perimeter breach," the security chief announced. "Multiple defense drones offline. Intruder in Sector 4, moving toward the main control room." "Seal all doors," Vex Kral ordered. "Deploy heavy security units." "The doors aren't responding, sir," a technician reported, his hands moving frantically over the controls. "Systems are failing throughout the facility." The main doors to the command center exploded inward in a shower of metal fragments. Standing in the smoking entrance was a human female in form-fitting black armor. Her eyes glowed with an unnatural blue light that Vex Kral had learned to fear over the past month. "Identify yourself?" Vex Kral demanded, drawing his sidearm. The human woman stepped forward, seemingly unconcerned by the dozen weapons pointed at her. "Lieutenant Olivia Carson, Earth Defense Force." "You are either brave or foolish to come here alone," Vex Kral said. "Who said I'm alone?" Olivia replied as if on cue. The lights throughout the command center flickered and died, replaced by dim emergency lighting. The main display went dark, along with most of the control consoles. Vex Kral felt the first stirrings of genuine fear. "Call for reinforcements," he ordered his communications officer. "Now." "Communications are being jammed, Supreme General," came the panicked reply. "We can't reach the fleet." Vex Kral turned back to the human. "What do you want?" "Your unconditional surrender," Olivia stated simply. "The withdrawal of all Concordat forces from Earth space, and recognition of humanity's sovereign right to self-determination." Despite everything, Vex Kral laughed. "You think the Concordat will surrender to a single human? Even if you somehow defeat this command center, we have thousands of ships and millions of soldiers. And we have 13 Prometheus operatives." Olivia countered. Each one capable of dismantling your technology from the inside out. Each one able to neutralize your command structures faster than you can establish new ones. I demand backup. Vexcroll roared into his emergency communicator, a device that was supposed to work even if all other systems failed. A new voice answered male, human, and coming from directly behind the Supreme General. I am the backup. Vexcroll spun around to find another human standing where no one had been seconds before. This one was male, with the same glowing blue eyes as the female. Eric, Olivia acknowledged with a nod. The other command centers are neutralized, Eric reported calmly. The Concordat fleet is in disarray without central coordination. Vexcroll looked between the two humans, finally understanding the gravity of his situation. The Concordat had prepared for every type of conventional warfare, had strategies for nuclear exchanges, orbital bombardments, even desperate suicide. Attacks. They had never prepared for this humans who could move through their defenses like ghosts, who could interface with and control their technology, who could strategically disable their command structure with surgical precision. The terms of surrender are being transmitted to your remaining ships, Olivia informed him. You have 1 hour to comply before we escalate our response. What could you possibly escalate to? Vexcroll asked, genuine curiosity mixing with his. Dread. Eric Bradley's glowing eyes seemed to bore into the Supreme General's soul. We stop targeting just your command centers, he said quietly, and start targeting everything. Vexcroll had spent 300 cycles in military service. He had conquered 12 worlds and negotiated the surrender of 20 more. He had never once considered surrendering himself, until now. How did you do this? He asked. How did your species develop this capability so quickly? You threatened our existence, Olivia said simply. Humans are very good at adapting when faced with extinction. Vexcroll slowly holstered his weapon. I will consider your terms. Don't consider too long, Eric advised. The clock is ticking. 6 months later, Admiral Alex Morgan stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned space station, Unity. The large window offered a spectacular view of Earth below and the stars beyond. It was hard to believe how much had changed in less than a year. Quite a view, isn't it? General Elizabeth Cole asked, joining him at the window. Hard to believe it all started with one ship and a misunderstanding, Alex replied. Elizabeth smiled. No, Admiral. It started the way it always does with humanity. Someone pushed us, and we pushed back harder than anyone expected. On the deck below them, representatives from 27 alien civilizations gathered for the signing ceremony. The Concordat had withdrawn from Earth space, and humanity was now negotiating entrance into the galactic community, not as subjects, but as equals. What about the Prometheus operatives? Alex asked. What happens to them now? Dr. Chun found a way to regulate the quantum integration, Elizabeth replied. They can control their abilities now, turn them on and off at will. Most of them are joining the new Earth Defense Fleet. A few are retiring to quiet lives. They've earned it. And the program itself? Elizabeth's expression grew serious. We're keeping it active, but limited. The Concordat might have retreated, but they're still out there. And there are other species in the galaxy who might not welcome humanity's emergence. Down on Earth, Eric Bradley and Olivia Carson stood on a beach, watching the same ships from a different perspective, tiny lights moving across the evening sky. Do you think they'll ever try again? Olivia asked. Eric shook his head. They're too practical. The Concordat miscalculated once. They won't make the same mistake twice. And if someone else does? She pressed. Eric turned to her, his eyes now normal again after the scientists had found a way to regulate the quantum integration. Then they'll learn what the Concordat learned. Which is that humans don't just build weapons, he said with a slight smile. When necessary, we become them. Olivia looked back up at the stars. New worlds, new civilizations, new possibilities. Humanity had survived its first contact, though not in the way anyone had expected. They had earned their place among the stars. Through ingenuity and determination. What do you want to do now? She asked. The quantum integration is stable. We could live normal lives if we wanted to. Eric considered the question. After months of fighting, the idea of peace was both attractive and strange. I'm not sure I remember what normal is, he admitted. Me neither, Olivia said. But maybe we can figure it out together. As they walked along the beach, leaving footprints in the sand, neither of them noticed the small light that appeared briefly in the night sky. A light that wasn't a star or a ship, but something new entering Earth's solar system. Something. Watching, evaluating, learning. Humanity had passed its first test. The question was, were there more to come?